a song that is very, very dear to my heart. It's a song that God gave me at the point, my lowest of lows ever. Everyone that knows Nikki, Nikki likes to talk about her dad, because the truth is that this gift that I have actually came through the bloodlines, through my father, who was my number one fan, Prince Laoye, but unfortunately we lost him in 2011. And of course, it was a very, very devastating period of my life, because I was depressed, I was upset, and I was like, God, how could you do this to me? You know, especially watching my dad pass on in my arms and we couldn't do anything about it. And I just felt like God deserted me. And for a while, I didn't want to sing. I actually went off the radar for like about 2 years. I actually stopped doing music. I was just releasing singles behind the scenes, but not necessarily doing anything. And God gave me a lovely dear friend that has always been in my life anyways. And his name is Nelson. And he's my guitarist, and he was the one always with me. He's always been working with me all these years, and he was one that kept playing the song around me every day. You know the way in the Bible, Saul always had David around to play for him to drive the evil spirit away. Yes, that's what it was. God actually gave me a David that was playing around me to drive the evil spirit of depression and all kinds of things away from me. And he was the one that started playing the song. God gave him the song, and he kept singing it around me, and it was like God told him to give the song to me. And the song simply said, no one else, only you, gives me beauty for ashes. And the truth is, I started singing the song. I finally got a chance to record it, and we recorded it finally with Rotimi Keys, a lovely producer, Rotimi Keys. It took us a year to actually record the song with Rotimi Keys, because getting Rotimi Keys, he's a very, very strong producer, very hard to cash and all of that. But finally, I got a chance to record with Rotimi Keys, and we released the song, and all of a sudden, the song was nominated for the Headies. And before we knew, and we're not even released the video, then I shot the video in London with my dear friend Shabak. We shot the video in London, and next thing, you know, when the Headies came, because this was my first comeback, was my comeback into the music industry, and I told God, I said, God, I want to win this Headies, not because of the popularity or the fame of winning an award, but Lord, I need that award as a memoir. That's so that every time I stare at that Headie on my shelf, it's a reminder that God, you're with me. This loss will not be in vain, you know, because I wanted something that, you know, would be a memorial to my dad. And because in that category, I was nominated with Sheishe, Niola, every female you can think about in the industry, and I was the only gospel artist nominated that year. And when they just said the winner is Nikki Laoye, I burst out crying that day. Instead, I was crying and wailing right there on stage, because I was like, God, you actually heard me. And you know, until today, it's a memoir for me. And so many things have happened since the release of that song. And Sheishe, who I was nominated with in that category, now happens to be on the remix of the song right now. And she herself has actually had her own personal contact and impact with that song, you know, because by the time she sat down and wrote her own verse on the song, she was like, Nikki, there's just something special about the song. And I was like, yes. And I'm also happy to have her on the song. And the song has gone round to be one of my favorites, because anytime I sing it, it reminds me of God's love for me. And God has also used it to touch many people across the world, reminding them indeed that He's the one that gives them beauty for ashes. And I've used the song to minister everywhere, even right there on my radio show, Girls Rock with Nikki Laoye. I let people know that God loves them. And even while I'm working with my foundation, Angel for Life Foundation, I let people know that God is the one that's going to give them beauty for ashes. Every time I'm working with the internally displaced or the physically challenged, God lets me use the song to encourage everyone and remind them that indeed that He's with them and He will bring them through those dark, trying times.